This is a public hearing, and at this hearing, the Board of Trustees shall consider the information presented during the public hearing from the town staff, public comment, and written comments received on the item. Any member of the board may ask questions at any stage of the public hearing, which may be responded to at that time. And I declare the public hearing open, and I'd like anyone wishing to comment on this when it comes time to please raise your hand and dial *9. And could we have the staff report, please?
Absolutely. So I will deliver the staff report. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that this is really a team effort with Town Clerk Williamson and Town Attorney Kramer. They were very good about getting this put together in a relatively short time frame, especially with the holidays. So what you have before you today is an ordinance that would temporarily extend the business license renewal deadline for the town to June 30th instead of January 31st, and it would waive certain liquor license fees, town liquor license fees, through this year, or at least until December 8th, 2021. It's important to recognize that the impacts of COVID-19 and the measures, the public health measures that have been put in place to slow its spread have put a significant burden on Estes Park small businesses. It's also important to recognize that that burden has not been shared equally among all small businesses. The impacts have been asymmetrical. Some businesses have been able to have reasonably successful years, and other businesses have not. They've been subject to shutdowns and significant capacity restrictions throughout the pandemic. So we at the town remain committed to trying to help businesses where we can, recognizing that we can't be the end-all be-all solution for the businesses in town. Really quick, I won't go through all of these, but because it's been a topic of some conversation lately, I do think it's important to recognize the support that the town has already extended to the business community. That includes $300,000 in direct cash assistance to local small businesses that came from the town coffers that were distributed in partnership with the Estes Park Chamber of Commerce and the Estes Park Economic Development Corporation. We dedicated significant staff time and support to establish and facilitate both the Accelerated Recovery Team in March of last year that quickly morphed into the Estes Valley Resiliency Collaborative, which has been a very successful effort and has put out a number of helpful resources, as well as provided a great context for communication. And we suspect that will continue to be a group that is utilized even past the pandemic. It's been a very successful effort, and it's been a really great way to ensure close communication between the large business organizations in town, including the town, the chamber, the EDC, ELA at the time, Visit Estes Park, and the like, including the Rocky Mountain National Park. We created and implemented the Embrace the Views program, worked on the winterization of outdoor spaces grant program that's the state offered. And then lastly, and this is new, we're providing the application intake processing and award distribution for the state small business relief program in partnership with the chamber and the EDC. So that's a program that the state is providing money to the county. The county has partnered with Estes Park, Loveland, and Fort Collins to review and basically be the horsepower behind getting this money out into the hands of our business community. So we are proud of that. And there are other opportunities that will come up. I will say there is some monetary opportunities that will come before the board as we move forward through February. We did not want to have multiple grant programs running at the same time. And a lot of our staff time from Assistant Town Administrator Dan Weber, Executive Assistant Simpson, and our grant specialist, Christy Crosser, as well as our Public Information Officer, Kate Rush, is going towards the administration of this small business relief program. So we wanted to make sure that we did that correctly. So our attention has been devoted there, but there are other opportunities that we will likely bring to the board later. However, at this time, we want to do what we can, and recognizing that every dollar counts, we have two proposals in front of the town board tonight. Probably the most significant of the proposals would be the waiver of town liquor license renewal fees for all licensed categories except retail liquor store and fermented malt off-premise licenses. This would bring us in line with what the state has done. They've waived their renewal fees through December 7th, 2021, which allows really a fairly significant amount of savings for establishments that have liquor licenses. And for the most part, those establishments have been disproportionately impacted by COVID restrictions. If you think typical liquor license holdees include bars, restaurants, distilleries and wineries are also included in there, tasting rooms. Those places have all been hit very hard, and this is one way to provide some level of relief. The other option or the other item is probably less impactful because our business license fee has been reduced to $50. But recognizing that there is likely cash flow issues throughout our community right now, there is no reason to not push that deadline of January 31st back to June 30th and allow people to get at least a couple of months of higher visitation months to get better cash flow before they pay that $50 license. That would not apply to vacation homes or bed and breakfast license renewals. Those would stay on the same timeline. So we have really tried to and do what we can with town liquor licenses and town business licenses to target those high impacted industries and to provide some relief, even though it's not a large amount of relief for any one business. It does make a difference. We think that every dollar makes a difference at this point. There would be no financial impact from the delay in business license deadline. There might be cash flow implications, but we're not in a position right now where we're worried about that cash flow. And we think that $50 right now is probably best left up to businesses, whether they pay that now or wait until they have a few months of higher visitation under their belt. The more impactful item is the waiver of those town liquor license renewal fees. That would be a revenue decrease that is currently not reflected in the budget of approximately $50,000. So that would be $50,000 of revenue that we would forego, but it would also be $50,000 back into the pockets or never leaving the pockets, rather, of our businesses that have town liquor licenses that are not retail liquor establishments like liquor stores or grocery stores, or the fermented malt off-presence license, which is very sparingly used. Town Clerk Williamson could probably speak to those better than I can, but are in a similar situation as the retail liquor and as the retail liquor establishments. So with that, that's all I have today. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. And there's also a link to the Senate bill where the state made their changes to their liquor licensing program. I do want to make sure that I convey that this is not, this is just for renewals. So it is not for new liquor licenses. We wanted to make sure that anybody that was coming in now was on equal footing with the people that have been suffering in the industry for the last 8-9 months.
Okay. Yes, Trustee Webermeyer.
So then everybody goes back on their original cycle after this 1-year layoff. Is basically liquor licensors are not all at the beginning of the year. They're on whatever their anniversary date is. So you get a free plate this year, and then you'll go back into whatever your cycle was before.
Correct. So you would get basically your 2021 license, the license that you would pay for in 2021, because they fall all
free ride. Yeah.
You don't have to pay for it.
In other words, everybody doesn't end up being due on December 10th, 2021.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
That wouldn't be very helpful.
Nope.
So, any other comments? Do we have any public wishing to speak?
Mayor, we have no members of the public wishing to speak on this item.
Okay. Yes, Trustee Youngland.
What is fermented malt off premise?
That's grocery stores.
That's why we have our expert here.
That's grocery stores.
That's your Safeway. That's Scott's establishment.
That's my life.
Eastside Food Store. tiny town.
Is 6% beer that you can only consume off premise, not on,
Right.
ideally.
Yeah, so the state does allow, or used to allow, an on-off license for fermented malt beverage. When they changed that from 3-2 beer to fermented malt beverage, they required, even though the law doesn't state that, Dan, they required each of our establishments to choose if they were an on-off, whether or not they were going to be on or off. And all of ours that we have, and I believe we have about 5, chose to be off premise. So you go in, you purchase your beer, your fermented malt beverage, and you take it off the premise, just like a retail store.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, looking for a motion, please.
I move we approve ordinance 02-21.
Okay, is there a
I'll
second?
second it.
And
I'll
I need to read something that I didn't read, but we're fine. Town clerk, were there any other communications?
No additional communications.
Okay, are there any other questions from the trustees? And then all report statements and exhibits and written communications have been accepted. And we have a motion that has been made and seconded. Is there any other discussion of that motion?
If I could just hear the second again, I'm sorry, I did not hear who that was.
That was me, Trustee
Thank you.
Youngland.
Thank you.
Okay. Could we please have a roll call vote?
Trustee Banks,
Aye.
Trustee Youngland,
Aye.
Trustee Webemeyer,
Aye.
Mayor Koenig,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Marchink,
Aye.
Trustee McAlpine,
Aye.
and Trustee Sinek.
Aye.
And the motion passes.
Okay, and now we're going to